Morning, everyone. So today we'll talk about a couple different topics. First off, I want to mention that we have two tournaments about to be run online. They both start in 2 weeks. Join the USA Discord if you don't for information. We have a singles slow bro league, or slow bro singles as I call it, only because the rounds are every 2 weeks instead of every week. So it's a 3-round singles event. All books are allowed, giants are allowed. Nothing too crazy here. I think the big thing, like I said, you get 2 weeks to play each game. I know some people said they're a little busy nowadays and they don't want to commit to one game a week. So give you guys the chance to do that. If you just want a game here or there, to join this one. We also have a team event. Another Cinco de Wingo event. Actually, was thinking about a name for this one. Went to my old tournaments and realized that it's been basically a year. I think we started this last one on August 9th. So why not just do a number 2? It's been so long. 5-man team event. Not much change from the last one we did, except we don't have all the weird scenarios and stuff this time. It's almost like ETC. I think the biggest difference would be we're randomizing deployments. I don't know if that's what ETC did. And we're using map Bs with As, so it is what it is. Obviously, it can be played on Warhol UV, depending if you have Warhol or not. There are no giants or alt books in this one. 5-man teams, 1 week per round, just as normal. Anything you've ever been in my tournament before, this is very similar to that. Go sign up for those. You can sign up for both. There's nothing that stops you as long as you have enough time to play both games. They both end roughly around the same time, and that was on purpose so that if we do another event or anything like that, they don't kind of keep going or interfere with each other. So you can find them on Tourney Keeper as well. So that's the plug for the online events. So go join up if you want and join the ranks. Second topic, ETC is over. So congrats to Poland. Not surprised. I don't think anyone's really surprised. I've said it before. I'll say it again. They were the only team that really brought a full squad. And maybe Switzerland was close to bringing a full squad. But they seemed like the only people to bring like a full squad, I would say. Russia, congrats to Russia for third. They had 4 French players and 4 Russian players, and not even all the top Russian players. France was really up there. I don't say they choked last round. They had a tough opponent in Switzerland. They got smashed, but they were in it to almost win it at some point. And then I thought Denmark did pretty good. They obviously lost to Poland in the last round really badly, but I thought they did better than I thought they might do. And then we had, poor Serbia never scored above 51 points. We had, this tournament, like you said, it was probably less lopsided than I thought, because there was a good bit of teams, like I think Ukraine, Denmark, Argentina, Germany. You could also say some of these too. It was like a blend of I don't think the rankings really represent the strengths of the teams perfectly, because I think France played some hard team. Well, France got knocked at the end, but I don't know. I don't think it's a perfect. I think there's a chance that the bottom you jumped up because you got 100 versus like Colombia last round, or you dropped drastically because you played Poland last round and you got Denmark was in 5th, had to play Poland at number 1 because Poland had played 2, 3, and 4 already, then got smacked down, and then people could jump you and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. I don't think the order of 5 to 9 really makes a big difference as far as I don't think it's an accurate representation. That being said, it's a smaller event. It is what it is. No surprise who won, given the players on the team and who came. I did put together a Excel. It's not perfect, honestly, because the stupid Tourney Keeper, people don't have their armies in there, and they don't have the right armies in there. So I have found recently a couple people who said, oh, this person didn't play what was in Tourney Keeper. All I did was fill in the gap. If they weren't listed in Tourney Keeper, I found them in their army list, but I did not check everybody's army list. I knew a couple people who were not playing what they put in Tourney Keeper only because I was following them during ETC. But there are some players I didn't know. But this, if you come to the USA Discord, you can find this sheet. You can't edit it, but you can copy it if you want it. And basically what it does is you can look at, a player. You can look at what they score. This is easy. You can look at what their opponents score total. You can look at them round by round, who they played, what army they played against. Thomas played high elves. He played orcs, dwarves, high elves. Most of this stuff is just, you can look at what happened round by round if you really want, but this is all just stuff I pulled off and did formulas to feed the first two, which is the detailed where you can look round by round, or this where you can say what's the average per game and then how did they fare versus each other. So for example, if you really can't find this, you can take a screenshot of this right now. I can even make it bigger for you because if you wanted to look at it. But what this chart is, and hopefully it flows correctly. Like for example, wow, that's pretty crazy. If you look at ogres or warriors, right? This says warriors played demons 10 times and scored an average of 7.5. Or they played warriors had 5 mirrors, and the parentheses is how often the matchup happened, and the number in there is the average score. And so here's the final where people lie. Again, and I mentioned this on the forums, and I'll mention it here. I don't think there's any real analysis to be taken from ETC at all. I mean, the top players are good players, and they were going to be good players whether or not they played high elves or not. This guy had these two guys had fairly weak strength of schedule. I think this guy had the weakest strength of schedule. This Vermin player had one of the weakest strength of schedules. If you consider the average of this column is, the average. I should know mathematically what it should be, and now I'm like, I think it's 3. Sorry, I'm going to do this now because I want to. 360. Okay, that was right. So if you think that the average player is 360, you can kind of see where the strength lies here. So for example, Mateus, I don't know how to say his name. For how many points he scored, he played some very good people. Like he played people who scored a lot of points. And that's not to, it's twofold here, right? Because if you're scoring a lot of points, it means your opponents aren't scoring a lot of points. So you could technically do something where you say, how many points did my opponent score when not playing me, right? Like in the other games. So I think there is a little bit of, this isn't a perfect metric of strength of schedule, but it's also not a irrelevant point. You can look it down here. If you want to look at it from a Warriors perspective, right? You're going to say Warriors, oh my God, poor Warriors are so low. One, they played the hardest people. Mathematically, their opponents scored the most points. And some of it would be because they scored points against the Warriors player. But I think even if you remove that, it wouldn't be that far off. Now, I don't think this is statistically significant. 1 point is not little, I guess, across all the games. So they consistently had people that scored decently against them. Whereas maybe an army like Demons, their opponents were weaker on average, or even somebody like High Elves were on the lower end. And this is, I can bust out data from here that says all kinds of shit if I really want it. But I'm not here to make things seem better or worse. You kind of got to explain that Scrub and Furion are really good players. They also got pretty good matchups, I would say. And I don't think they'd argue it. Thomas played a High Elf list that his mirror was better, an Orc list that gave him a good game, a Dwarf list that they just cornered each other, and then he played non-shooting High Elves, Dread Elves, which is really good for his army considering how well it shoots. This guy got smoked by Furion and by Thomas back-to-back games. I kind of feel bad for him, actually. So it's not like if you might say, oh, I know Thomas was kind of scared of Warriors, depending on the player. And so maybe that's what, if he would have played a Warriors player, maybe he wouldn't have scored it so much. Or Furion, the same thing. He didn't play. He played 2 Vampire players, 2 Orc players, I think, a Dark Elf and something else, a Dread Elf, and an ID player. So, it's a small sample size of games, and they don't even play every matchup. So, but that's the team event. You get paired for it. And they're the best players on their team, or Furion and Conrad are close. So when your best player who can get points, you're not going to pair them into a shitty matchup. And they do the pairings. Again, I do the pairings for my teams, and I tend to protect myself too if I think I can get the points. So I think it's unfair for people to harass high elves when good players are just winning them. They're a good army. I'm not going to deny. They're annoying. They can play a lot of things. I think one of their biggest advantages, and my thought process is when they get a solid matchup. And maybe this is just me making up shit. And I'll know afterwards because Thomas will listen and he'll yell at me for it. Let's say Warriors have a good matchup. They still have to go and get the points. They have to go and kill things and fight things and risk charges and die in combat. Sometimes when high elves have a good matchup, they just sit there and shoot your balls off and like zone you. And sure, there's some risky things here and there, but it feels like, at least in my, like, you're not going in and risking anything. You can kind of like chill there and kind of shoot people, and if people hide against high elves, they just get shut up. So maybe the biggest, I think what people, and this is what I was talking to you about, probably the biggest weakness of some of these high elves is people just being super aggressive. Like if, I'll use Wilhelm. If Wilhelm just said, here's my chosen knights, here's my 2 elders, here's my herald, here's my 2 chariot guys, like deal with them. Like deal with it. That high elf list might not be able to. Yeah, the Nova Griffin guy is great, but he can't kill everything. He can't kill everything, and he won't even beat everything. Hell, the chariot guy will beat him. So not everything will make it across the board, but you don't need everything to, because you can kill a lot of things. I mean, the Phoenixes cannot kill almost any of those units by themselves. They're garbage versus them. But people at ETC are generally they play really scared. I don't know. I watch things and I look at pictures from ETC, and there's corner Charlies, as Jesse Garrett would say, where they just sit in the fucking corner and like try not to lose, and then sometimes they just get twos anyway. It's kind of sad. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fact of the way ETC works, where if you have 2 good people that are like I guess this is in theory, if you get 2 good matchups of 8 and everyone else can hold a 10, you're going to get like 90 to 100 points if they max it out, right? You don't really need everybody to go all in. Now that doesn't always happen, but I don't know if people are just scared to lose points or what, but people play like such pussies. Actually, here would be something. Listen, we'll do this live because I have all the matchups here. Where is it? Where did I put it? It's here. I think this is every single matchup. Scroll down. This is every game. These 2 are every game. So let's just do something real quick. Nope. So this is every game that was scored, and then I want to remove data. Where's remove duplicate? I know where it is in. There it is. Excel. Okay. Oh, well, this actually makes sense. We'll just go 0, 1, 2. So what we're trying to do is I want to see how many of each score there was at ETC. So let's do, so it should be symmetrical equals count F. This should work. There's 50, if this adds up, it should be the total number of games, 672, 112 players divided by 6, yeah, it works out. So this is what it was. I don't know what this is, or this is every game. I could have just, see if that gets me the same number. Okay, so this is how often every game happened. I didn't mess up everything. So equal, so let's just make it percentages. Easy to read. Nope, that's dollars. Let's just go. I'll be honest, it's not as crazy as I thought it would be. Only 38% of games were within the 10-10. Is this the proper way to do it? Like the percent, it should always be scaled. Like you could look at it one way and say the same. All right, that's probably more shocking than I thought. Maybe there's more skewed games than I thought. I thought there'd be more 10-10s, to be honest with you, because this number is technically doubled since so this, like a 9 has a counterpart as an 11, but a 10 counterpart is a 10. It's actually definitely, I thought there'd be way more small ones than big ones. There's actually a good bit of games that ended in the outside. 28% of games. Okay, maybe I'm wrong about that. People still play like pussies, and then they lose. Also, on the counterpoint of like these are really good players and buff up the high elf score. Look at the bottom. I mean, we have, if you just look at just scoring less than 30 points at ETC is not, it's bad, first of all, but it's not like super common. Let's just look at Merrick real quick. Hold on. He has the last ETC here. Work. Okay. I mean, we had, this was when there was 200 players. Players. Okay, maybe it's. I guess, but this is over like, yeah. When you have a good bit of players, like scoring under 30 is really bad. Like it's really a poor performance, and honestly, like these are all from teams that we shouldn't be sitting here. Like, I mean, maybe Russia, but this isn't a top Russian player. Like, this isn't surprising, and not only is in this event. So 2 points I'm going. One, because there's less good teams in the event, as you win, you have a greater chance of facing a very lower team. Like it is missing, it's not as skewed up and down as I said originally, but it's not perfect. Like if you don't play, let's say Serbia is the lowest team at a normal ETC, 30 players, 30 teams. If you don't play them round one and you're like a Poland, Germany, you're never going to play them most likely, almost ever. You might go down and play like a mid-level team or something, but you rarely get to place the bottom of the barrel. Here, it's like not that hard. I mean, Poland won round one and got to play Argentina round two, who lost the first round because of how little there were teams here. So, first off, there's a lot more top first week teams, and secondly, you know, when you have players like this for the Orcs, I mean, hell, these two Orc guys and these two Warriors guys who they need to play. I've heard from others they weren't top players. They managed, I think one of them wasn't even a Warriors player to begin with. They just do fill in teams and stuff, which is fine, but we need them to play ETC. But these two guys bring the Warriors average down like tremendously. Like, let's look, it's 9.0 right now. If I take them out, it's 10.4. Like they themselves bring down the average to 1.5. So I could make Warriors look really good just by removing the two horribly weak players, and I remove these two from Orcs. Orcs might look busted. What do Orcs come up to? 11.6. Orcs come third-ish. So that's why I want to be a little bit aback. Like it only takes a couple really bad players to make this look good, or a couple really good ones to make an army look super good. Undying Dynasty says two people, so who two solid players, a Russian and a Ukrainian, who ended up doing pretty good, and they're ETC players. They are like past ETC players, so that helps a lot too. So again, I would not read too much into this. I mean, the Sylvanels, I mean, one guy scored like nothing, right? Like him leaving, the average doesn't get helped very much. I guess all the Sylvanel players weren't the greatest. But like, it was like Serbia. I'm trying to look. Again, I don't want to harp on, I mean, yeah. No top team, it looks like, took this. One guy. Who's this guy? What team's he from? Montenegro. Yeah, Montenegro, Colombia, Serbia, Argentina. None of the top teams took silver medals. So you don't expect them to do good in this tournament because not only are they on weaker teams, but it's not even the best players. If the Polish guy who plays with Os Tomas was on the team, he would have probably done pretty well and he would have helped. So again, you can look at this, you can have fun with looking at things, but I wouldn't overanalyze anything from this tournament per se. All right, done with that topic. So I got my tournament coming up next weekend. 5-man team event, round robin. I'm not going to do a full list review because it doesn't matter that much. I'll let you guys I'll make it a little bigger. You guys, I'll scroll through enough so you guys can at least see the list if you want to pause it and look at it. So Brave Companions has 3 ETC players and then 2 other guys who are not ringers. They obviously play a good bit, but they're not like. It was because this team couldn't find 5 players. So you got Mince, we got VS, Crazy Orc list, Crazy Soaring list, Apps on ID, CGL. As far as opponents go, this is probably the first 2 are probably our number 1 and 2, whatever I want to call it, like opposition. Warriors list, Weird Warriors list, Dark Elves, Demons, Bad Ogres, Vermin Swarm, Chaos Crew. This is actually our round 1. At last minute, they had a drop, and so the ringer that they got only plays Warriors, so the captains voted to allow them to have 2 Warriors players, but I mean, the lists aren't anything special. I mean, this one's pretty good. Well, it's okay. And this one's whatever, so I'm not too worried. This is our round 1, so this guy's still playing in 2019. It's like he took a 2019 list and slightly modified it for this year, for 2021, because he still takes the same setup on these guys, even though the other ones are probably better. Green Dragons are a formidable team as well. You never know, honestly, because there's only, I mean, our team isn't exactly full of. I guess we do have former ETC. Arash is coming back and stole Thomas's list from ETC. He's a former ETC player, and the rest of us, actually, besides Keith, all 4 of us were on the first 2010 ETC team together. Obviously, Jordan has been back for like a year or so now, and we've been back for quite a while. And then Keith is playing new BS. But yeah, this team is formidable as well. And then you can see this team is kind of a joke. I'm pretty sure this guy somebody told me he had his daughters make his list, at least to some extent, and it's probably pretty obvious when you look at like the 12 clan warriors with Rending Banner or the 10 crossbows with the Relentless Banner. It looks like he might have went back and at least changed a couple things to make it better. Like he doesn't have rune crafted on the Organgon, stuff like that. Like that's kind of stupid, right? You can all agree there. So yeah, it's a dumb list. And then we have some other guys. This is a pretty crazy list. This is a no magic Saurians list, and this is a dumb shooty ass ogre list. I'm not looking forward to playing that list. I don't want to. But anyway, yeah, it'll be a fun tournament. It's a round robin, so everybody gets to play everybody, and we know the order that we're playing. So we got Chaos Crew, MFers, Green Dragons, CGL, Brave Pins. In my opinion, it's easiest to hardest as far as what my perceived strength of team goes. So it's actually good for us to kind of ramp up as you go, and then get to fight for the gold at the end. But it'll be a fun event. It'll be a fun little round robin. Nothing crazy here. So you can look at my list. I talked about it before. I really wanted to try the lashes and the barb chief and this unit. So I don't need to talk about it again. I'll let you know how it goes after the fact. But yeah, that's all I got for today. Thanks for listening.